Yashodanandana Vijayanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Vishupad Paramahamsa Pri Vrajagacharya Stotra Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Shirabai Charan Narvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi Biti Founder Charya's Divine Grace Sri Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai Shri Gauritai Ki, Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Ki, Jai Shri Krishna Balaram Ki, Jai Shri Giri Govardhana Ki, Jai Shri Radha Madhava Ki. Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Ganandana Salakaya Taksurunmiritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sadivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Paritana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanditam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Janabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustuti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayat. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within a heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttamasloka Charitam Shakara Bhagavan Rishi Nisreya Sayalokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva, It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya,
Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Sri Advaita
Shri
Gadadhara,
Advaita Gadadhara,
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda,
Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Om
Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Sarabhyay Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyay
Om
Namaha.
Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyay Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Mukam karoti vacharam pangom langayate girim yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yatkripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. We continue from canto number 1, chapter 6, entitled Conversation between Narada and Vyasa. And today, yes.
Which is number of the verse?
Hmm?
The number of the verses?
Yeah. We read 16, so today is 17.
17.
1-7. Yeah. Prem. Yesterday we were reading about Bhava, and today we get into Prema. Prema.
Prema.
Ati Bhara.
Ati Bara.
Nirbhinna.
Nirbhinna.
Pulakango.
Pulakango.
Ati
Ati
Nirvritaha
Nivrutaha.
Ananda
Ananda.
Samplave
Samplave.
Lino
Lino.
Na Pashyam
Na Pashyam.
Ubhayam
Ubhayam.
Mune
Mune.
Premati Bhara Nirbhinna
Premati Bhara Nirbhinna. Premati Bhara Nirbhinna.
Pulakango Nirvritaha
Pulakango Tirita.
Ananda Samplave Lino
Ananda Samplave Lino.
Napashyam Ubhayam Mune
Pashyam Ubhayam Muni.
Premati Bhara Nirbhinna
Premati Bhara Nirbhinna.
Pulakango Nirvritaha
Pulakango Tirita.
Ananda Samplave Lino
Ananda Samplave Lino.
Napashyam Ubhayam Mune
Pashyam Ubhayam Mune.
Premati Bhara Nirbhinna
Premati Bhara Nirbhinna.
Pulakango Nirvritaha
Pulakango Tirita.
Anande Samplave Lino
Ananda Samplave Lino.
Napashyam Ubhayam Mune
Napashyam Ubhayam Mune. Premati Bara Nirbhinna.
Premati
Bara
Nirbhinna
Pulakango Ati Nirvutaha.
Pulakango Nirvritaha
Ananda Samplave Lino.
Ananda Samplave Lino
Napashyam Ubhayam Mune.
Napashyam Ubhayam Mune
Premati Bhara Nirbhinna
Premati Bhara Nirbhinna
Pulakango Tinirvrita
Pulakango Nirvritaha
Ananda Samplave Lino
Ananda Samplavelino
Napashyam Ubayam Muni
Napashyam Ubhayam Mune
Premati bhara nirvinna
Premati Bhara Nirbhinna
Pulakangoti nirvita
Pulakango Tinirvritaha
Ananda samplavelino Ananda samplavelino Napashyam ubhayam mune Napashyam ubhayam mune
Prema,
Prema
love, Atibhara, Atibhara, excessive, Nirbhinna,
Nirbhinna
especially distinguished, especially distinguished.
Especially distinguished
Pulaka,
Pulaka
feelings of happiness.
feelings of happiness
Angaha,
Angaha
different bodily parts.
different bodily parts
Ati nirvritaha,
Ati nirvitaha
being fully overwhelmed.
being fully overwhelmed
Ananda,
Ananda
ecstasy.
ecstasy
Samplave,
Samplave
in the ocean of.
in the ocean of
Linaha,
Venaha
absorbed in.
observed in
Na,
Na
not.
not
Apashyam,
Apashyam
could see.
could see
Ubhayam,
Bhayam
both.
both
Mune,
Muni
O Vyasadeva.
Vasudeva
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. O Vyasadeva, at that time being exceedingly overpowered by feelings of happiness, every part of my body became separately enlivened. Being absorbed in an ocean of ecstasy, I could not see both myself and the Lord. Kindly repeat after me. O Vyasadeva,
O Vasudeva
at that time,
at that time
being exceedingly overpowered
being exceedingly overpowered
by feelings of happiness,
by feelings of happiness
every part of my body
every part of my body
became separately enlivened.
became separately
Being absorbed
being observed
in an ocean of ecstasy,
in an ocean of ecstasy.
I could not see
I could not see
both myself
both myself
and the Lord.
and Lord.
Report. Spiritual feelings of happiness and intense ecstasies have no mundane comparison. Therefore, it is very difficult to give expression to such feelings. We can just have a glimpse of such ecstasy in the words of Sri Narada Muni. Each and every part of the body or senses has its particular function. After seeing the Lord, all the senses become fully awakened to render service unto the Lord, because in the liberated state, the senses are fully efficient in serving the Lord. As such, in that transcendental ecstasy, Haribol. Jai Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki. Nrsimhadev? Hare Krishna. Special mercy. As such, in that transcendental ecstasy, it so happened that the senses became separately enlivened to serve the Lord. This being so, Narada Muni lost himself in seeing both himself and the Lord separately, simultaneously. Translation again. O Vyasadeva, at that time, being exceedingly overpowered by feelings of happiness, every part of my body became separately enlivened. Being absorbed in an ocean of ecstasy, I could not see both myself and the Lord. As Prabhupada explains in the very first line of the purport, what is being described here has no mundane comparison. It brings to mind the descriptions that we find in the Antyalila of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. The Antyalila covers the later pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when we read those pastimes, they are totally beyond our understanding or imagination because the descriptions that are given have actually never been recorded in history. The bodily transformations of the Lord in those last years of his manifest pastime in Jagannath Puri are very, very, very unique and very extraordinary. And they're connected with what is being described here in terms of transcendental emotions and transcendental feelings. We all understand something about emotions and feelings, but as Prabhupada and the Acharyas explained, they are the mundane. We all have emotions, we all have feelings, sometimes more acute or more intense. But whatever we experience on the bodily or material platform, as explained by our acharyas, is but a reflection, is described as a perverted reflection of the original. So people in the material world experience very intense feelings when a child becomes separated from his mother. Actually, Prabhupada uses that example when explaining the meaning of the chanting of the holy name. The so so these state of experience is described in various literatures and is experienced by great personalities, and sometimes devotees who read about these descriptions, they want to prematurely want to experience this, which is not recommended. And there's nice descriptions also, of course, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where very, very elevated devotees who have a tendency of having such experiences pray that they don't come because it impedes their service to the Lord. So we read about this, like we are in this particular section of Narada's explanation to Srila Vyasadeva, what happened to him. So and we read it in different, there are many such examples, especially we see, as I mentioned, in the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Srila Prabhupada warns us in his series of lectures on the topic of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar Devotion, that these higher levels, yesterday making reference to the level of bhava, and today the level of prema, these are, we can hear about it, we can try to appreciate, but we should not falsely imitate. Actually, during the time of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that was a major, and also Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. We read about this in the biography of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. That had become very rampant. Means it was common in the Vaishnava world, especially here in Bengal, that so many people were imitating these levels that are referred to in the Shastra, and it had become it had become what is called perverted. Perverted means not the original subject matter that is actually described in the Shastra. So there is a danger of becoming overly obsessed and of trying to force or imitate such levels. Prabhupada explains how these things will come about naturally, and he gives a very concrete example. You know what example he gives? Because actually, what is being described here is in reference to the topic of Swarup Siddhi, which is a very elevated subject matter. And Swarup Siddhi referring to the natural and original identity of the spirit soul, and one's eternal relationship with Krishna. So Prabhupada explains, he gives the example of sex life. Just like a small boy, he doesn't know about sex life. But as the body develops, then slowly, gradually, the attraction for sex life manifests. It happens in every in every young boy and every young girl. So this example is quite appropriate because it's a natural transformation that takes place on the bodily platform. And of course, that's the we can say it's a mundane example, but it underlines the point that we cannot force that to take place. This sex attraction, and of course, that's a whole subject matter, which our acharyas deal with as well. In particular, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur speaks about sex psychology, which is completely different from what we know on the mundane and material platform. So these descriptions are given in the Shastra so that we can know that yes, at the liberated level, such types of feelings and emotions on the purely transcendental platform manifest, which cannot be understood materially. And of course, these subject matters are not the common subject matters that are meant to be discussed. They're meant to be heard and only discussed by persons who are at that very higher level of purified level of consciousness. We have similar examples. We read the lives of the Goswamis in Vrindavan and those who followed after them, Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, Shamananda Pandit. They were, because they were such advanced and exalted personalities, they had similar types of experiences. So in other words, it's not it's not only once. I mean, there are different personalities in our sampradaya who are examples of what is being described here. So the description continues here. We can continue to hear, or if there's any comment or question on this.
I have very serious doubt.
You have?
Yeah.
You have a doubt?
This doubt.
Yes.
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, the example of how the sexual experience appears in normal way in human beings. But in elevated cultures, there are teachings for different levels, and individuals are not without help of wise, experienced advisors. If we have, if they have to, and they have to meet with these situations, and they have to properly use that feelings, and for that they need education. The same way, I understand that this kind of level of experiences is not should not teach for persons who have difficulties just to control their mind, but in some way when someone practicing and successfully control their mind, successfully nishta, for example, they should have opportunities to learn something forward and not to have this kind of shock which Narada lived through and lost the connect with the Supreme Person, which is not the goal of the higher experience to lose that contact. So if I think I maybe it's not, it's just always happen either somebody is learned or not because it's a high ecstasy, because it's the very strong emotions, but we should have some kind of preparation for this level in the proper mood, in a proper place, in a proper way. Is this existing in Vaishnava culture to teach Nishta devotees to prepare for the experience of Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava and deal immediately by that learnings and properly and quickly learning how to use that emotions for service, for the goal, for the goal. Is it existing?
So your question is, these subject matters which describe the higher levels after nista, the levels of ruchi and asakti and bhava and prema, whether there's any I guess system to help individuals go through these different levels. My understanding is that it's because these levels are very high, very confidential, very very personal as well. Mm, it is based on why is it that we are being advised, for example, to seek out the association of advanced devotees. So it is such kind of uh, information, such type of understanding naturally will be in the hands of those who are at that level, of those who have or who are experiencing these very exalted levels um, of devotional service. So when we get on that level, and again we can take example from the life of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Um, he um, he would not he did not encourage that these subject matters that deal with these higher levels of bhakti be openly discussed. Uh, and he had just very few select individuals, as we know, we were mentioning a few days ago. So, in a similar way, it's up to each devotee to actually seek out by various types of association, interaction with other devotees, to seek out individuals who can uh, help in that respect. There's no ministry in ISKCON, naturally.
No, naturally, just not written, materials given because that's
Right.
maybe
Yeah, yeah.
their intimacy and not personal, but it could be not secret, but like have some qualities when you can step in, for example,
Yeah.
in such a circle,
Um,
and not necessarily written title. Oh, that person
right,
is
right.
high level. You have to figure out.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I think it's from my understanding, it's something that each individual has to uh, himself or herself seek out.
It's like a mentorship,
Yes.
which, for example, in a sannyasi teachings are there that experienced sannyasis take uh, charge of helping new sannyasis and they are supervising and they can come to them. It's not written how they deal with
Yeah.
those topics, but it's the trust for the senior sannyasi to help the universe.
Yeah.
Like Sarvam Bhattacharya wanted to help Lord Chaitanya as a senior teacher, and he had some experience how to teach sannyasis,
Yes.
and he tried to do the best. Of course, we know that
Correct.
in this case it was not the proper way, but at least there are some systems which we can see that it exists,
Yeah.
and which maybe Narada was missing.
Well, because these uh, these higher levels of transcendental experience are, number one, very rare and very confidential. So it's uh, it's not something that is available. I would say so obviously or so openly. And it's like, we have within our society naturally various devotees. I mean, who have been practicing, who are engaged, etc., like that, and whether it's within this sangha, there are different sanghas. Also, it's like in the Gaudiya Mat, they have, and even within the Gaudiya Mat, there are different branches or different. So I would say it's very much up to every individual to seek out, and also we have to keep in mind that we were discussing about the different levels of siddha, right? Sadhana siddha. Nitya Siddha and then Kripa Siddha. So Kripa Siddha, there's no preparation for Kripa Siddha, like what happened to the son of King Prataparudra. Uh, you know, from one moment to another, he by Mahaprabhu's mercy was elevated, and all the very senior and most advanced associates of Lord Chaitanya were totally, yeah, and found that uh, very extraordinary, which was, of course. One has to seek out um, where such type of sangha is available.
Like Prataparudra Maharaj got advice how to get the mercy.
Who?
Prataparudra Maharaj.
Prataparudra, yes.
So he was advised, okay, take out your kingly dress like a simple Vaishnava and learn specific verses by heart, and that offer access service to the Lord, and then you get His mercy, because otherwise he couldn't. But then he should know how to deal with that mercy, because if he goes there, get the mercy, and then and goes around like Prataparudra Maharaj, but lost his consciousness, that could be like against the Lord's plan. So he have to know immediately how to control that ecstasy, which caused by that rare mercy. So also this kind of
Well,
come together.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we are not properly using that experience for the Lord's service. He want to keep it like intimate way, but if we go out, that's not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had so many very exalted associates who knew Prataparudra, some of them quite closely, intimately connected with him, and I would think that they
had.
Yeah.
That was his association, like
Right.
Kashimish and others. If you have some love, how to keep this ecstasy.
Yeah.
They learned. They teach him what to do.
Right.
So intimate association, confidential association, is the way how this kind of levels one person is advanced.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Because Prabhupada also mentions, and other acharyas also, that a whole very nice description in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that one should be cautious not simply to be greedy for such type of experiences. As a matter of fact, one is cautioned to not make any public display of such feelings or ecstatic emotions. and I'm sure you read the description of how it's like compared to prostitute, yeah, right? Especially if it will impede or prevent our regular service to the Lord. So these are very, very internal, personal, confidential subject matter, which guidelines are given by our acharyas, that our goal is simply not to be situated in, as a matter of fact, Prabhupada in one exchange, in one discussion, he makes reference to, how Lord Chaitanya, in the last years of his manifest pastime, he was totally absorbed in such ecstatic, I mean, extremely unparalleled feelings of ecstasy that brought about bodily changes that, again, were never recorded before in history. And then Prabhupada makes a statement, but we will not imitate Lord Chaitanya. We cannot, of course. Means that we and in that context, actually, Prabhupada would bring up the topic of varnashrama. And whether it's within the topic of varnashrama or just general devotional service, devotees need to understand that, okay, these very esoteric, levels of feelings and ecstasy are there, but a devotee is primarily wanting to remain fixed in serving the Lord, and if these things will impede,
Correct. Like a beginner,
yeah,
practically just a very simple sadhaka.
right, yeah.
One more, if you allow me, that there are two kind of devotee who is one is really trusting the simple process of chanting, really focusing and avoiding any distractions, like methods of avoiding distraction. But the others are seeking for outside help. And in this case, the question is that how old Guru Maharaj knows that we need something more than before. And I heard, and maybe you also heard or know, the Guru is informed by Krishna. So Krishna telling the Guru, okay, that's disciple, please deal with him because he reached that level that he need the next level of instructions. Is it correct? We have this. Do we have the same understanding of? So we don't have to knock on the Guru's door, Maharaj. I have a dream, so please instruct me about. Guru will
Well,
invite us in the when it is really
yeah.
need.
Well, there are two things. One is that a disciple is recommended to interact and to be inquisitive, isn't it, with his spiritual master. That's on one side. On the other side, a disciple also knows that both Krishna and his spiritual master will help him to, or her, to progress in Krishna consciousness by applying the the basic process that is recommended and any special instructions that might have been given by the spiritual master. So yes, uh, it works on both levels. That there is an exchange. It's natural, and it is encouraged also that one interact with the spiritual master. Of course, interaction is not only on the physical bodily plane. There are when we take up nicely, properly the service, then we are interacting also in that way by following the orders or the instructions of the spiritual master. So it's not that one should be completely disconnected with one's spiritual master, and just be of be thinking that, well, he knows everything, etc., like that. But it's quite natural and also desirable that the disciple can approach either directly the spiritual master or someone who is representing him, because sometimes Guru will have so many disciples and may have less time to give directly. But it's quite natural that one approach either directly the spiritual master or other senior Vaishnavas to clarify certain aspects. Yeah. And it depends on both the spiritual master and the disciples what kind of interaction will be taking place. Yeah. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jai Shri Prabhupada ki, Gaura